Hey, everybody. Welcome back to Unqualified Critics. So I have the CEO of Ice Games. I know a lot of you guys, actually probably literally everyone watching this right now, you're already aware that they're bringing a home arcade line. Been a lot of questions. I know I've had a lot of questions, but I know you all have too. So we've got Joe Coppola, their CEO, here to talk to us about answering as much as they can on this exciting new line. So Joe, thanks for joining and welcome.
Yeah, no, thank you. Thank you for having me. I appreciate the forum that you guys are giving us to launch Arcade Pro. We've been in the coin operated industry for over 38 years, and we've had a lot of really exciting launches in our history. But I'll tell you what, in the 27 years that I've been at ICE, this is definitely one of the most exciting times we've had, especially given the pandemic and kind of what our industry and our people at ICE have been through. So really appreciate the forum that you guys are giving us to launch this.
Yeah, I've talked about that a little bit, the upending of the traditional arcade segment. And it's kind of interesting and probably just an accident of history, but just so happens there's this blossoming home arcade market. Clearly the space is growing now given the shutdown, but we know that this shutdown's put tons of pressure on arcades. It's put tons of pressure on Dave & Buster's, who I'm sure is a huge client of yours. So I guess necessity, mother of invention. Yeah.
Yeah, huge customer of ours, huge customers, Dave, all literally all over the globe. U.S. market, guys like Dave & Buster's, Chuck E. Cheese, and so many others out there. And I definitely want to preface this by saying we remain very, very optimistic that that FEC market is going to come back. The bowling centers, the Dave & Buster's of the world, and so many other great concepts that exist out there. They're going to come back, and the coin op industry is going to come back strong. But in the meantime, we were shut down in late March here with the whole New York pause, and literally had 9 weeks where we couldn't come to work. And during that period of time, fortunately, again, we have a great crew of people here, tremendous creative talent. And one of the many ideas that our designers were working on at the time was furthering this home game line that we had.
Wait, so you were working on that before the shutdown?
We talked about other home games before the shutdown, going back a couple of years, but we were not proactively working on it.
Okay.
During April and May, when our designers were, for the most part, home, basically, working out of their homes, we had a lot of different, again, game-related, sanitation-related, a lot of different ideas that came to mind. And Drew Krause, who heads up our development, really tremendous credit goes out to him and his team, came up with a lot of different ideas. But one of the things that we saw through those first few months was really strong sales of our Super Checks game, which is the one game that we have been selling online direct to the consumer, I would say for about 15 years now. And so as we came through this, Dave, in, I'll say, May, June timeframe, and saw that the arcade business wasn't coming back as quickly as we all would have liked, we decided to very quickly pivot into some of these other concepts that the guys had worked on during that pause period.
Yeah. I talked to a gentleman from your team, Mark, and I asked him about the timeline, and he said it had been 8 or 9 weeks or so. I don't know if I was supposed to quote that exact duration, but a short period of time that this has been going on. But I guess that's what I want to emphasize to the audience. So some of you already know this, but ICE does have a history selling direct to consumer, and is that Super Checks. And when I personally think of the home arcade market, I think of kind of two sides. I think of the luxury game room which Super Checks is certainly in that, a high-end pool table or even a medium-end pool table. We all sort of know what that looks like. And then you've got the other side of it, which are video games, which today the video game side is pretty much entry to mid-level. And then you've got some high-end boutique players, certainly. And I know we're going to get into Chicago gaming. There are guys like that. There are other guys doing, $3,000, $4,000 high-end arcades you can buy for your house. But the mass market there are lower end things. And when I saw the ICE announcement, and it was ironically posted in an Arcade One Up forum, because there isn't, I think, an appetite for people that buy these lower end cabinets. And it's not to disparage them. It's just, if you're going to sell it $400 or $500, there are compromises that have to be made to meet that price point. What I saw with ICE, potentially, without knowing more about it, was this could be an opportunity for the no compromises approach. There's always something me and a million other people look at the other products and say, we like it, but here's some stuff that maybe could be better, but cost is always the compromise. And then the design flows from there. Talk to me about your line. You guys have a really rich history of in-action redemption prizes, complex products, heavyweight products. A lot of people want to know, how is the new Arcade Pro line maybe different, or is it really just the same, but now we can buy it at home? I mean, how do you feel like you're positioning it?
Yeah, so we're absolutely have a position in mind here, and you're completely right on target there. We're not, we will never have any of those products that are in that, I'll say, $500 to $1,500 price range. Like you said, not to disparage that market at all. There's some good product out there, but from the time that my father brought the first checks game to the market back in the early 80s, the company really built its reputation, Dave, on the indestructible dome, the quality. He at that time, they would drive from here in Buffalo to Chicago, for instance, for a lot of the trade shows, and they brought a sledgehammer with them, and they would bring the sledgehammer and slam it on the dome, and they would tell people, go and hang on the rods and put all your weight on. You can't snap these rods. And so we felt very strongly, as we decided to go down this path, that we needed to find a happy medium between that top-notch arcade quality and all the gadgets that go with the arcade game that, in a lot of cases, some of these games that we're going to be offering would go out into the arcade market for, say, $7,000 to $15,000. We're not going to be in the $500 to $1,500 range, but we're going to be less expensive than an arcade game in a lot of cases, and we're scaling it down. But we're bringing, we are absolutely touting this as great quality. Still, a lot of the bells and whistles that I think make ICE special. A lot of the cabinetry and the type of wood. The guys that work in our wood shop, these guys could be making furniture. It's furniture quality type stuff, and that's what we're going to bring to the home market also. And so it is. You're absolutely right. It's a niche market, but we feel there's great marketplace there, and we kind of want to be in that best in class when it comes to this home entertainment side of things.
So when you talk about scaling it down, and I don't know if this stuff's finalized or not, and if it's not, feel free to say, hey, that's not finalized yet. We'll figure it out at another time. But what I've wondered is, are the products physically smaller or are they lighter? Yes. Okay, so go ahead.
They are. So as an example, our basketball game, the ones that go into the arcades, a lot of times we can't get those down under, say, 8.5 feet. And so which
most people's basements are less than that, so that's a problem.
Correct. Yeah. Right. So this new basketball game that we have, which will be called Game Time NBA Pro, that's going to be adjustable from 8 feet 3 inches down to 7 feet. Our Our alley roller, again, a little bit more compact than a normal alley roller. Our air hockey that you see there, a little bit smaller in size than you would see a normal air hockey in an arcade. So a lot of this stuff, again, same type of quality and construction, but and not scaled down a ton, Dave, but scaled down enough that we know we can get these products into most basements, bonus rooms, man caves, what have you, and also a huge priority as the guys were designing this, and I think they did a fantastic job with it. These games, unlike some of the arcade games we do, they have to be able to be assembled by somebody like me who has absolutely zero technical mechanical ability at all. And so all of these games are going to be able to be assembled in basically less than an hour.
Yeah, and I'm sure you have some threshold you have to meet of simplicity because you don't want to be overloaded with confused people clogging up your lines.
Right.
Okay. So go ahead.
Yeah, no, go ahead.
Well, I was just going to mention, so ice products, the native ice products, or I don't know what you'd call them as part of this line, but clearly Ice Ball, Super Checks, these products that you've long created, we're talking about downsizing those. In addition to that, we've seen products from other companies like Stern. Can you talk to us about that? One of the questions I've had is, are these custom new products? Are these products that are badged under your products family? Are you guys just like acting as a distributor? What does that relationship look like?
So it's very much, Dave, I'll say this, it's very much an evolving thing, and understand that it's really only been in the last few months that we've pulled this together. And Drew and our guys here have done a tremendous job of pulling this together very, very quickly. And so I'm going to share with you as many details as I can, and we're totally an open book on this, but it is very much an evolving process. And when we decided to go down this path, as we were starting to build the website and talk about how we were going to market this, we said, you know what, why limit this to just ice products? And we one of the great things about our industry, we have some great personal relationships that go back many years.
Joe, I don't mean to interrupt you, but the audio quality is deteriorating. I don't know if you're it could get to a hardwire connection or maybe move somewhere with better Wi-Fi. I can more or less make you out, so feel free to keep talking. I just wanted to let you know.
Can you hear me? Can you hear me now?
Yeah, it's a little rough. I can, right? If you want, I can talk for a second while you troubleshoot. So while Joe's working on that, I'll give you guys a little bit of background. So I spoke with the gentleman at ICE previous to this call. And that's one of the big topics, is that these guys are able to bring in other partners. Now, I've seen some comments in the chat, and I'm not surprised. It's actually exactly what I expected, of questioning, hey, if this is going to come in at several $1,000s, clearly that's going to be out of a lot of people's price range. And we've got to understand there are different segments to the market. What I would propose,
Dave, can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you now. Can you hear me okay?
All right. Sorry about that. Yeah.
That's okay. That segues me in what I was just talking about. So there's some folks in the chat saying, hey, for a few grand, this might be out of my range. Now, number one, I don't think anyone ever has to apologize for having a premium line. I may not be able to afford this stuff, but that doesn't mean this stuff can't exist. So I'm not trying to put you on the defensive.
Sure.
This is that no compromises design. When I was talking, though, to your team, it struck me that, okay, this is like an 8 or 10 week old project. This is largely going to be the existing products reformatted. We're bringing in some partnership stuff, which we're going to come back to because I know people want to hear about that. But I would submit, just for consideration, and you could tell me I'm crazy if you want, I think there are really 3 levels to this market. And before today, there were really only one that existed. Now there's 2, but I think there's actually a third. So there's the entry level $300 to $500 world. And then there's the super premium that's basically commercial grade but we're going to fit it into our house. I would submit to you there is demand for an $800 to $1,500 product line, but clearly that can't be the level of quality that we're talking about here. Somebody asked in the chat, is it a possibility that you guys would ever scale things down further down the road as you evolve this line? Because I mean, that's obviously a common thread of evolving product lines. You sort of meet different tiers, or instead, is it we want to be super pure and we're always going to be that perfect arcade quality, or is that just a decision you'll make later? I'd love to get your feedback on that.
Yeah, Dave, I would never say never. I think much like we've learned many things over the years in the arcade and the coin-op market, things will evolve, and we'll get feedback from customers just like we do on the arcade side. And if there are solutions there that we feel make sense to bring to the market at a lower price point, but at the same time we feel confident that we can maintain the quality, absolutely. But no doubt about it, quality is really important. The way the cabinets are constructed, we feel, and again, I understand it's not going to necessarily appeal to the entire marketplace, but we feel it really helps to separate us. And I'll give an example. Over the years, obviously, I've gotten a lot of phone calls from people and friends, and who said, yeah, I tried to go out and I bought a bubble hockey game for $750 or $1,200, and 3 weeks after Christmas, the thing was busted. So I'm just going to go and spend the $3,000 to get the real bubble hockey. So, we feel that it does make a difference, but I completely understand where you're coming from, that we may be able to appeal to a larger segment of the market if we were able to bring it in less expensive.
Well, it makes sense to start with what you know, and what you know is the high quality commercial grade stuff. So don't let me talk you out of that by any means. Sure. I was just curious what you thought about down the road. So you mentioned earlier, and I know the audio cut out a little bit, but Joe was talking about pulling in partnerships. So it's sort of the elephant in the room, but the question a lot of people want to know, is there anything you can tell us about the Jurassic Park cabinet? It was in a rendering and then it sort of disappeared.
Yeah. So yes, I will say that, again, long-standing relationship with Eugene Jarvis and George Petro, and we've done a lot.
And that's Raw Thrills and Play Mechanics, right?
Raw Thrills and Play Mechanics, who had, and Raw Thrills who developed Jurassic Park, and so we reached out to those guys as we embarked on this and went down this road. And again, we've done a lot of collaboration together on the video redemption side of things with those guys. So there's a relationship there. And we feel very confident, Dave. I don't have all the details yet, but I will say this. I do believe that by November 1st, we will be selling a home version of Jurassic Park.
Awesome. That a lot of people are clearly going to be excited about that. Let me tell you a question that I have, and one person from a commenter somewhere asked this too, and I wanted to know the exact same thing. This is looking into the future a little bit, but it relates to Jurassic Park. So for someone to buy a commercial grade Jurassic Park, clearly that has to be a premium product. Freight shipping on that alone is, I know, a lot of money. So this is a big investment for somebody, recognizing it's commercial grade. In my view, a way to get someone to dedicate that much of their home real estate and that much of their budget would be future expandability. Now, I feel like I'm ahead of myself asking this question, because if you're still finalizing everything with that product, I'm sure this decision hasn't been made. But what about the possibility of reskins, of DLC, even if it's publisher specific, so that people can expand it to play other games? And of course, as you know, the real arcade industry, the commercial arcade industry, has a history of that. The operator buys a game, they reskin it. That was for a different reason. That was so they could keep the quarters flowing. But is that anything you guys have talked about internally or have any thoughts on?
I think it's a great question, and obviously we would love to go down that road with those guys. We feel that Eugene and George and their team are the best when it comes to video product. But I certainly don't want to
Absolutely.
I don't want to get ahead of myself here. I don't want to
Okay.
get myself in trouble with those guys.
Sure.
But absolutely would love to be able, and it would make a lot of sense. You're absolutely right. There's other products that they have done that would fit great into that cabinet. But Dave, we've been working morning, noon, and night to get to this point. So it would be definitely premature to even talk about that. I lost you. Hey, Mark.
Nope, that was me. I was
Oh,
muted.
sorry.
Sorry.
Gotcha. All right.
So what I'm going to do is put a video up on screen that you guys sent over. I haven't had time to watch it yet. So this is the ice ball live gameplay. So let me get this queued up. Sorry, this is taking a minute. I'm stuck on one monitor. This is not an elegant solution.
No problem.
But I'm almost there. Okay, so it should be up. All right, so this is gameplay, and I was told by Mark that there's a competitive mode here. Can you talk to me about that? And so we're looking at ice ball if you guys are seeing this on screen.
Right. So again, we're going to offer up to 4 players. The guys are still in development stages. What we're hoping to do, and we've done it with the basketball game as well, is offer a couple different gameplay modes there. For example, on the basketball game, we're going to have an option for the players to play a game of pig. And so, yes, these different, between ice ball and the basketball, there are different competitive gameplays in there, and that will allow in both games up to 4 players to compete.
And is there a way to get updates to this? Is this online? Is this going to be USB compatible?
I believe it'll be USB compatible. Yes.
Okay, cool. The product looks gorgeous. Do you know the dimensions on this, the length by chance?
I believe it's, Mark, is ice ball 10 feet? The length? Hey, Mark?
And to the audience, I know a lot of people, the
Ice ball
question is
10
1,
feet
can I
long.
afford it? And 2, do I
9
have room
feet.
for it? So that's why I'm curious about the size. I'm really glad to hear
And
that they
Mark,
did
what
scale
about,
the size down slightly.
what about hoops? Length?
7 feet-ish.
About 7 feet?
Yeah, 7.
Okay. So 9 feet on the ice ball and about 7
Huh.
feet on the basketball.
Okay, cool. And for reference, how much smaller is that than the normal size ice ball? Do you know roughly? Like a foot different?
About a foot different.
About a
Yes.
foot. Okay, I was curious.
And a couple
that's
feet
exciting.
and a few feet on the basketball.
Okay. Hang on one second. Okay, can you talk to me a little bit about the long-term vision of where this is headed? And I'll tell you what I see. I mean, I see by pulling together a lot of different vendors, and we still need to come back to that because that's the part we missed
Yes.
with the audio.
Yep.
But what I see potentially, and if you guys pull this off, this is a one-stop shop for a high-end game room. And I know that a lot of people in this industry right now are hurting for money. My guess is a lot of people that wouldn't have previously licensed are probably more likely to license now. And you guys have a long-standing relationship with licensors, but for anybody, I think anyone who makes gaming products right now for commercial use, they're probably looking for new revenue streams. So you guys are reaching out to folks, pulling this stuff together. So it seems to me like one-stop shop, high-end gaming. But you tell me, what's the sort of the long-term vision, or where do you see this going?
No, that's you hit the nail on the head. That's what our vision was, Dave. On the coin op side of things was kind of to be the one-stop shop, redemption, sports, air hockey, cranes, and the early vision is very much that for the home games. And going back to what you were saying about working with people like Stern and Arachnid and Chicago Gaming, these are going to be the same type of products that are being offered on their websites and other websites out there. Again, we were looking to evolve and take this to a point where if somebody was on our website, looking for an ice ball pro and a basketball, they may say, "Hell, you guys got the Stern pinball, you got the Arachnid dart game. I'll get everything together." So that was really the thought process there. We've built the company on having some great development partners out there. And Drew, my partner, who I mentioned earlier, was just saying earlier today, we had some guys in, that how great it will be to have other developers out there and other companies that we've worked with come to us and license product to go up on the website and to be part of this.
So can you talk about Stern a bit? So Stern creates now different tiers, just for the audience. So they create different tiers of pinball now. And so they have like a lower end version, but it's still premium. It's still high cost, high quality, and all of that. I forget what it's called. I can't remember. They call something pro and something else not pro, and I always get confused.
Yes, and I'm certainly not an expert on this, but I believe, Dave, our intention right now is to offer several versions of the pro, and then like with the Star Wars, they have a home version, and we will only offer the home version of Star Wars. And again, we're just getting into this, so we really need to kind of see how it evolves.
Sure.
And admittedly, we definitely have a lot to learn there. But that's the intention right now, is to offer some of their pro series, and then when it comes to the Star Wars, the only offer the home game there. And I also
go ahead. No, go ahead.
I just wanted to say, I want to be very clear too. Again, we have a lot of customers out there, and I want to be very clear that it is not our intention, and we will not go down the road of competing with any of our customers that are out there that are selling those coin operated versions. I'll say this, with the exception of Stern, which does come with a coin door on it, everything else in our lineup at the moment has no coin door, no ability to accept coins, bills, debit cards, or anything like that.
Is there any legal restriction? Like if I were going to buy this and then go open an arcade, other than there isn't a redemption opportunity or a payment opportunity, would I be allowed to do that? I'm just curious.
My understanding, David, and we've been very, very careful about this, is none of these games are set up to be able to be operated in an arcade game room.
Sure.
The software isn't there. They can't collect money. So I think we've been very, very careful and conscientious when it comes to that. Because again, we don't want to compete with our customers on this product at all.
Yeah, no, I mean, I see it as additive, because people are going to play this stuff at home and then want to go out to an arcade when it opens up too. I still go to arcades, and I have a bunch of products at home. So interesting. Do you know anything about the Stern pricing? Can we expect the same pricing that is out there now for that product? Will there be a physical badge for Arcade Pro on it? Will there be any kind of labeling or branding?
There is going to be, yes, the Arcade Pro will be on it, Dave, but our price point is going to be very similar to what's out in the marketplace right now.
Okay. And which I think for the audience, I'm pretty sure it's around $4,500 for the Stern Pro. I could be wrong. It's been a while.
From what I was looking at earlier today, depending on the title, we're looking at a price range here of between $4,500 and $6,200 on the Stern pinballs.
Okay, so for sure premium, but I think pinball enthusiasts expect that. All right, the Miss Pac-Man Galaga cab. What can you tell us about that? I knew that was in the render and looks great. What's the news there?
Yeah, so again, we have a relationship with Doug Duba at Chicago Gaming. This product I know is out there and has been out there, but it just struck us as a natural fit to go up on the website. We're not, in all honesty, we're not going to have any pricing advantage over other games that are being marketed out there on other websites. But we just felt it would be a great offering to have as part of the package.
Yeah, so it is about bringing everything together. I would submit to you that if you're able to get some traction with this as a point of distribution, I mean, these companies ought to want to come to you with pricing advantages or maybe even custom variants to sell under this branding. I mean, if this brand, the Arcade Pro brand, takes off, I would think there'd be a lot of opportunity for custom modified versions of those existing products, in addition to the ICE products, which you have, which are already custom and modified. But my guess is the other companies might want to get in on that too.
I think you're absolutely right, and I think and you bring up a great point. You know, customization is going to be a huge component of what we're going to bring right now, especially to the ICE product. You know, when it comes to our basketball games, we're going to be able to do customization to NBA teams. There's a bunch of different college titles that we have access to out there now. We're hoping eventually to do some corporate logoing. Same thing with our
That's
ice
smart.
ball game. So I think that that's a huge advantage that that hopefully we'll be able to bring to some of these other companies as well, and they'll see that as a real positive to working with us.
Yeah, absolutely. It's value add. I mean, it's one way to look at it is, hey, this is a competitor, but as this market changes, you guys are an early stakeholder in a premium home arcade. I would view it likely as additive. Looking through some of the questions that have been posed in my community post I did previously, sure. Scale and dimensions of Super Checks hockey. So that's online, right? If they go to your website, they're going to see that. And the website launches when? Tomorrow?
The website will launch tomorrow. And yeah, I think that question popped up before. When it comes to Super Checks and Super Kicks, those are the same size and same exact game as what's been on the market for years.
Okay. I had an interesting question from longtime viewer Jim Powers. Can you find out what exactly is the business plan or the roadmap? Is the collection a one-time release, or do they anticipate being in the home market for a while? And clearly, you want to be here for a while, or you wouldn't launch this. But what I'm curious about is this going to be like a drop model where it's going to be new stuff incrementally over time? Is this just, hey, these are our products that we've assembled? Because keep in mind, speaking to the audience here, products like Ice Ball have been around for a while. These aren't brand new things. They've been around for a while. They've had long-standing popularity. So I guess my question to you, Joe, is it let's take these products that have been around for a while and find a new audience for them? Or is it to actively evolve the products over time when you guys plan this out?
I think it'll be a combination, Dave, to be honest with you. I think we see tremendous opportunity to take some of our other staple products, as an example, some of the carnival games that we've done, and maybe do something there. But I think that there's also opportunity, and important point to make too, you know, not every arcade game that we're going to develop and design here is going to be right for the home market. And alternatively, I think there may be some games that sure. maybe don't fit into an arcade model or a coin-op model, but that could be great for the home side of things. So I think that's very much going to, again, be an evolutionary process, and we just have to see where this whole thing takes us. But we're absolutely in this part of on the home side of things, and looking to grow this Arcade Pro line for the long term. You know, there's nothing that we do here at ICE that we think short term. It's always about what can we do in the long term? How can we build the brand? And you know, we want to get into this, and we want to be doing this 20 years from now.
Yeah, and I'll just add to that. I mentioned this or hinted at this earlier. What I suspect you'll find, and maybe I'm wrong, maybe I'm way off, but what I suspect you'll find is that over time, you're going to want to do an additional product line of new, slightly smaller, slightly lower quality, maybe branded differently. Yeah, maybe not, but that'd be your choice. But I think that $1,000 and maybe up to $2,000. But if you guys did that in addition to this top end line, that would just be an incredible move on the market. I mean, if you, again, to go back to products like Arcade 1-Up, I'm not sure the average consumer realizes how little profit is made on those when the retailer takes their chunk. Shipping, it's still a fairly heavy product, 80, 90 pounds, I think, shipping weight. There's not a lot of money being made there. You have to be very high volume. And I see some comments saying, hey, these guys aren't going to get the volume. But that's not the point. This is a higher profit margin product. It's a more premium product. you're not supposed to get mega volume with this. And I don't know how you could get mega volume with this, because you couldn't. I mean, you couldn't sell this at Walmart, or you couldn't sell this at a high volume retailer. It'd be too heavy, too big, whatever. That's not the
Correct.
point. So it can't be high volume. I think there's a medium tier. I'm gonna find the camera. I suspect as you talk about evolving it, and I'm excited to see this too. I'm excited to see these products come out, see the website hit tomorrow. I think over the next couple of years, I wouldn't be surprised if you guys start to inch into some additional formats that are maybe a little lower cost, a little medium tier. But starting with the ultra premium makes all the sense in the world to me. These are clearly beautiful machines. Love how the ice ball still has that runner lighting on the flooring. I think I read, I don't know if this was in the website interview you guys did a week or two ago. I read somewhere that the flooring of the ice ball machine, I mean, it feels like the original. It's just a little bit lighter weight, but I mean, that's a big deal. So that's gotta be expensive.
You're absolutely right. That and those types of things, Dave, make such a difference. Certainly aesthetically, but makes such a huge difference when it comes to gameplay. You know, again, we tried some less expensive, cheaper surfaces for that alley roller, for ice ball. It sounds horrible. It doesn't play the same. You don't get the same feel. So a lot of it, and again, the LED lights that you reference, there's such a look and a feel to it, and it's what we feel the players in the arcades are used to, and it's what they think of when they think of ice, and when they say, "Boy, I'd love to have that game." It almost, in a way, if we cheapened it too much, would feel a little bit like a bait and switch.
Yeah, and I would recommend everyone think about longevity too, because there's something to be said. If you buy a product for a lot of money, but you can have it for 20 years, that's one thing. If you buy a product for a small amount of money, but it's broken in a year or two, I mean, there's a lot of that. How many of us have gone out and bought new buttons or new sticks or whatever? There've been a number of quality control issues on top of that with the lower cost products. And I don't even think that's anyone's fault necessarily. That's just a function of it being lower cost. So I think there is something to buying this stuff and keeping it for a long time. I've got on screen right now a stand-up dartboard, and there was a comment in this chat earlier asking if you guys are going to do that product. And at the time, I hadn't seen this photo. I just saw it. Can you tell us about that? Is that confirmed at all?
Yes, it's confirmed. It is the Arachnid dart machine. It's their home version. It's called the Spider. Again, no coin door option on it. So this is strictly for the home market. Won't be accepting any bills, debit cards, anything like that. And it's going to be in the $3,500 range.
Okay, nice. I appreciate the specificity on the price. It's someone just asked, can I travel to Buffalo and pick my stuff up? So, and not someone, Arcade Will, longtime fan of the show. Thanks, Will. Is that where the showroom is? Is it in Buffalo?
Yeah, I'm glad you asked that. We've got a great working showroom. Again, Drew and our development guys, Dave, have done an outstanding job. And obviously tomorrow there'll be a whole bunch of different pictures of our showroom here. I was going to say earlier, I'd love to have you come up to Buffalo. I'd love to have other people.
That'd be fantastic.
We absolutely are opening up the showroom. We'll be opening up the factory for tours. So 100% invite as many people as would like to come to Buffalo. We'd love to have you guys here.
I've had a few viewers talk about stopping in, and one guy, and it might have been Will or it might have been someone else, I actually don't remember, but called you guys and was talking to you actively and trying to figure out when this stuff's open. So clearly there's hype for it. There was a question earlier I want to address asking about the Miss Pac-Man Galaga, so the Chicago gaming products. Wanted to know if it's a CRT and all of that. I don't believe it is, looking at the photo. It looks like this is an LCD, and no one makes CRTs anymore. But do you know anything about the emulation there? We know these are high quality products. I've never played one myself. I'm assuming they're software emulation and it's not hardware emulation, but do you know anything about that? What kind of quality of gameplay we can expect?
I will have to admit to you, Dave, I would have to defer to our technical guys on that. I'll get you an answer on that, but I'm not sure how to answer that.
And if you're listening and you're curious, I'm sure you can go to chicagogaming.com and check that out. I don't know either, so I was kind of curious.
I know it's not a CRT. I do know that.
Yeah, and you can tell that from this render that I put up on screen. So there does seem to be a lot of demand and hype for more of the physical. I don't know what the industry term is for it, but almost like a carnival type game. The claw machine, everyone wants a claw machine, or at least surprisingly to me, a lot of people want that. There's someone in here talking about whack-a-mole. Do you have any plans for a claw machine or anything like what I just mentioned?
You know, we make a lot of cranes for the arcade market. I never really, to be honest with you, Dave, I never thought about it for the home market, but it's certainly an avenue we could go down. We've been in that business for a long time with the crane machines. The cranes tend to be very mechanical in nature.
Right, they break down.
They do break down.
But so does pinball, though.
True. But as far as the cranes go, we could certainly go down that road. It hasn't been one of the early products we talked about.
Okay, that's fine.
We've done a lot of the wacky games in the past, Whack and Alien, and a lot of those. And yeah, that could definitely be a great type of product for the home market.
Yeah, for what it's worth, I've seen endless comments asking companies like Arcade One Up to do a crane machine. And we'll see if that's even possible at a lower price point. But there is a ton of demand, and I was surprised by it too. I thought the point of this was to win the prize, but I think it's an aesthetic thing too, and that's why I think people responded so well to these renders and these images you guys have shared in the videos. And I guess this isn't a render; I think this is a real photo that I've got up. But it's this idea that I have a real arcade in my house, but then crane machine becomes part of that. Someone just asked, what's the cabinet next to Miss Pat Mangalaga? So that's a multicade from Chicago Gaming. It's got Golden Tee on it, a bunch of other games too, and it's a high-end cabinet.
Right, that's called Arcade Legends. If I think I have this right, I think it has 135 different video games on it.
So a lot of people have asked for an X-Men 6-player cabinet, and I know that's a really specific question, but I think there's a comment right now in the chat, but I've seen it asked elsewhere. I think that's one of those things that people assume, okay, we can't get this at a lower price point. It's such a big, expansive piece of hardware. We're not going to get that for $500 ever at any level of quality. So if we're going to get it, it's got to be from like a big boy type offering like what you guys have.
Sure.
I would suggest to you that specialty cabinets could be a big driver of this success, even at these higher price points. But maybe you're already looking into that because clearly Jurassic Park is being talked about. Is that a direction for you guys? Is there any talk of these larger format machines, be it a 6-player X-Men? I would also add racing cabinets to that. Those things are huge. A big, in my opinion, and I know I'm editorializing here, but I want to get this out. In my opinion, a big advantage of having dedicated racing hardware is a racing seat. Well, if you're going to buy, say, an Arcade One Up one, you can't flat pack a seat for Walmart. It's going to be like a bench, and that's okay. But I think there's always going to be a market for high-end racing game hardware. So between that, X-Men 6-player, do you have any reaction?
Yeah, no, great question. Drew has definitely talked about getting into some specialty cabinets, and that being another avenue for us. And certainly with the Jurassic, and I wish I could say more, but the way that's been put together, you mentioned the seat there. Again, we went with top quality seating, and certainly when it comes to the racing games, we would love the opportunity to work with Eugene and George and their teams on some of the drivers or the.
And they've done some great ones.
Yeah. So that would be a real natural, and just being very honest and transparent with you, I'd love to have a couple of their drivers in the product line.
Yeah, I think we all would. And again, this is just context for the audience, and many of you probably already see this, but think about if you're an arcade manufacturer, who are you selling to right now? Dave & Buster's is eyeing bankruptcy. They're eyeing some store closures. I hope that doesn't come to pass. I'm a fan. I go there. And there are other arcade venues too, but it's a troubled industry right now. Very unfortunate because many of us are enthusiasts. We want to see this stuff thrive. I do think that'll come back. I agree with you, Joe. But I think in the interim, I think a lot of people are going to be looking for other opportunities. I didn't want to ask this question, but I'm YouTube honor bound to ask it because it was a super chat. Can you give us any kind of ballpark indication? And because Jurassic Park is a unique thing, and you guys are hammering out final details. Let me take Jurassic Park out of it and just say, for a high-end sit-down shooting cabinet, like for example Jurassic Park, but what kind of price world are we talking? Are you able to tell us anything?
I would say conservatively under $9,000.
Okay. And do you have any idea how much that will weigh in your home format? I mean, that has to just be so substantial.
I don't know the total weight on that, Dave, but I do know, again, we're putting that together so that it can be shipped out, fit through a standard door, and be assembled by, a maximum of 2 people.
Okay. And I know we're way outside of what we were talking about, but I had to ask,
it's
and
fine.
a lot of people are curious.
Yeah, so, no, I get it.
You've been super generous with your time. Is there anything else you want to share that we should be hype about for this arcade line?
Just that I think, again, we're not going to, this is not going to be an expensive product. I don't know that I got into the pricing yet. I know on
let's get into that. That might have been what we were talking about earlier when the audio cut out, but go ahead if you have anything to share.
So ice ball, we're going to be at $39.95 on that product.
Okay.
And the Game Time NBA Pro, $39.95 for the base product there.
Nice.
So again, what I want to get out there is this isn't going to be the least expensive product out there, but the quality of construction, I think that the technical support is a huge issue. Similar to on the coin op side of things, we're going to have a tech support team here supporting this product 5 days a week, 8:30 till 5. I think that's a big part of it. You had mentioned earlier that when it came to games like bubble hockey, you pay a little bit of a premium, but these games are around, and you made a great point, and I want to go back to it. I can't tell you how many people I run into all the time out there that tell me, the bubble hockey games that they still have from the late 80s, early 90s, and these are still working. They're still in great shape. They're still being enjoyed by their families. They were enjoyed first by their kids. Now it's their grandkids. That's the same type of situation that we're going after here with this other product. And I think it's a great point. It's important to point that out. And it's also, I think it's important to mention that these games are going to hold their value for a long period of time. And so if somebody, if one of these games runs its course in someone's basement or their game room, they're going to be able to go and sell that game online for a pretty good price point.
Yeah, and again, I would liken it to pool tables. So my guess is many of you, or at least some of you in the chat, bought a pool table at some point. I bought one. I got a really good deal on it. It was pre-owned. I paid, I don't know, $1,400 for it. Retail for that years and years before, when someone originally bought it, was like $1,800, $2,000. It didn't go down in value all that much, and I held it for a long time. So that's a valid point. Again, I'm seeing a lot of chats like, it's just too much money. It's going to be too much money for a lot of people, yes, but it's not for everyone. I know somebody with a Super Chex, and I don't know how old it is, but it looks like, my guess is it's been in his basement for a long time. I'll have to ask him, but I know what you're saying about buying this, keeping it for a very long time. I noticed on your website, I think it was the site that's set up for Super Chex, that you sell all the replacement parts for it, right? Do I have that right? You do sell? Okay. So what that struck me is, okay, this is something where a little piece breaks 5 years from now. It's not throw it out and get a new one. And so it's just two different mentalities. Some people will buy stuff, enjoy it for a couple of years, be done with it. And then there are those almost heirloom type quality things. So I don't think either one's right or wrong. It's just a matter of, those are two different things.
No, you're absolutely right. And I'll also point out that similar to our super checks, we are going to have some payment over time options on there, and I think that's a situation that will evolve as well. We partner up right now with a firm, and we're able to offer some financing in terms there, and certainly that's a situation that we want to evolve. And yeah, it's a niche market, no question about it, Dave. But we think it's a pretty good sized niche market, and again, we're excited to be bringing out this product with the quality and the after sales support that we're going to be able to give, and the reputation that ICE has behind it.
On that point, can you talk to us about warranty?
Haven't totally nailed it down, but on super checks, we are largely at a 1 year warranty, and the idea is we should be able to get that on the other ICE product as well.
Okay, cool. Well,
That's
thanks
the
so
goal.
much for your time. Those were all my questions. If you have more you want to share, you're certainly welcome to, but I don't want to take up too much of your time. So I do appreciate you coming on. I wish you a ton of luck with this line and good fortune with it. I'm excited to see it evolve. I know a lot of people are. Yeah, and we'll keep an eye on it. And the website drops tomorrow. So do you want to give out what the website is?
The website.
And I can post it. If not, I can post it on the video afterward. But
Hey, Mark, I'm sorry.
Oh, it's okay.
Mark, what's the exact website again? HomeArcadeGames.com.
Okay, cool. So homearcadegames.com if you want to check that out when it launches tomorrow. And when it launches, will people be able to buy stuff immediately?
So the only thing that we are, well, we're still obviously working on finalizing Jurassic, but the only other detail, and it will be on the website, that is to be determined. There's still some shipping and logistical costs that we're trying to work out, Dave. We hope to have that nailed down in the next couple of weeks, but we will be taking information down. People will be able to order games. We'll just have to finalize the shipping, delivery, installment, and that a little bit down the road.
Okay. Well, perfect. Thanks so much, Joe. Thanks, guys, for watching.
Hey, awesome. Thank you. And again, Dave, we'd love to have you and any of your audience come up to Buffalo and come and see the showroom live.
Yeah, keep me posted. We'll do that. I'll talk to you soon, Joe. Thanks so much.
Awesome. Appreciate it.
Everyone else, thanks for watching. We'll catch you later.
Thank you.
See you, Joe.
See ya.